And so I think it will be fun for our students to kind of hear that. And so so Michelle, why don't you you know book that you recommend and what jazzes you?
You know, I feel like I'm being tricked because the first book that always comes to me is Integrity. I know which one I'll talk about quickly. That is Brene Brown's Braving the Wilderness. Has that one already been brought up by Margaret?
Okay.
Okay. Um, so, because all the cloud towns and stuff, I'm such a huge fan of, and Integrity was the beginning of changing my life. But I know so many of the students already read that. Brene Brown's Braving the Wilderness is so impactful, and it's been working so well with discussion starters with so many of our staff at the Y right now. I've taken a number of groups through it, and I think the biggest things that I gain from it, as well as that they bring out of it also, is the sense of humanity and how we learn to accept each other's humanity, and seeing each other as humans. The fact that we can have conversation and it not be a hurtful, painful thing, and we can be on different sides of the issues, yet still very connected together as people. And especially in like our Y work, we talk a lot about diversity, and our mission statement says we're for all, which adds a unique twist into part of the work that we do. Because we ask the question, how are we, if we're looking at a religious viewpoint, how do we say we're for all and we allow Muslims to come in to our environment, yet then there's a group of people who are very concerned because there's a C in our name, Christian in our name, and they're concerned about what does that mean. And so we say, how can we hold both of those things in our hands together? And how can we have a conversation that we all feel welcomed in that place? And so for me, Brene just brings that home so well, and how we can truly hold that in the same place as long as we're willing to have open conversations together. So that is, I love, love, love that part of Brene Brown's Braving the Wilderness. I'm a huge fan of hers in general, but encourage everyone to read Braving the Wilderness. How was that,
Well,
Scott? For an impromptu
that's
book
great.
report.
Yes, that was a great book report. And it's recorded, so if anyone needs one for a learning activity. So, what jazzes you about teaching the students?
You know what jazzes me about teaching the students? I love watching people grow. I love watching growth. I love watching development. I feel like I typically, by nature, God's created me in a way that I think I see things and I see even greater potential in them. And I want to see those things grow and change. I want to be a part of that. So I see that in people and I see that in organizations. Being part of TLP and being part of Ultimate Leaderships and things like that gave me the confidence to even be able to say that about myself and to be saying, I know this is how I've been created. But I love, love, love that. And so when I'm with the students, each of them bring a new excitement. They've chosen to be here. They've chosen to give their money. They've chosen to give their time. They've chosen to engage in this work. And so if they're choosing to do that, then I want to be able to invest in them. And I love watching their eyes light up when they make connections and make a step moving forward. So for me, it's totally about just being engaged, being connected, and watching bigger and better things come out than we ever expected.
Thanks, Michelle. Okay, no, that's great. And it's great. I just want the students to kind of keep getting connected to you guys. So I thought we'd just jump you on the screen. So Michael Anderson, alias El Cid, is another one of our professors that some of you have had. So Michael, book recommendation because you read books. What would be a book recommendation that has impacted you?
Oh yeah, well I gotta go along with Michelle. Anything by Brene Brown, she's the bomb. I love her stuff. My actually, I have two. The first one, if you've got the time, I like to refer to as Kuzin Posner. The Leadership Challenge is the leadership Bible. I think that's a fantastic book, very well researched, and yet still very accessible. After that, thanks Michelle. After that, I would go with um, Lencioni's. What? Shoot! Now
The
I'm
advantage.
spacing the name of that. The last one that he did.
The
What was
advantage. The advantage.
That
I think his last
advantage, the advantage, because he kind of does a summary of the book Mark mentioned, you know, the 5 dysfunctions. But I think the advantage is just a great field manual for leadership. You can't go wrong there.
good. And what jazzes you about teaching, man?
Honestly, I think it's just what I'm designed to do. Yeah, I think it's just what I'm designed to do, and how, like Michelle said, helping people grow along with them, facilitating that. I absolutely love that. My task is basically just connecting people and teams with wild success. So that's what I do.
Thanks. John, I just pulled both of our professors on and asked them favorite book, what jazzes them about teaching. So Michelle and Michael Anderson were kind enough to allow me to put them on the spot. So
awesome.
Yeah.
You told us we passed.
What was the top book for each of you, so I'll know?
So I said, of course, all the Cloud Towns and stuff, but besides that, Brene Brown's Braving the Wilderness right now is one of my top ones.
Absolutely. Right. Michael.
Yeah, I went with Cruz and Posner Leadership Challenge.
Yeah. Classic. Yeah, you got to be a reader. You can't do all the stuff without the content. The content's too important. So great.
So, and I just want to give a shout out to all the capstone students. They're doing great. They're doing hard work
probably
right now.
Need to hear that with you beating them on the head with all their.
Michael and I are mean to them, so I just want to. Vicious. Don't we look vicious? So yeah, no, they're doing great.
Awesome.
Hard work.
Hey, students, you've got like rock star faculty here. They're here. They can be doing other things. They're here being with you online, and they love you. And you talk about the model that Scott and I have of competence and character. This is walking, talking competence for character. You are just so lucky to have these two and all of them.
Yep. And I know the capstone's a challenge, but these two plus Scott Livingston we've chosen specifically because they jump in with you, alongside you, and all that lovely pain, and good things come out of that. So, hey,
you know, I was thinking about the capstone because when I was writing my dissertation for my PhD, I hate to say this, I'm going to confess, I'm going to be vulnerable. That's when I finally learned how to study. Because I was a crammer, man. I mean, I crammed through everything. Last night, coffee and all that, and kind of got through. But you can't do it with a capstone or a dissertation. You've got to plan out and do a little bit every day. You've got to be like the Proverbs 6 ant, and that's where I finally learned how to do it, by the last route. So be thinking about you. It'll grow you up, but it's hard.
Yeah.
Okay, Scotty, you're in charge.
Okay, Aaron has the first one, and then I have a few that are enabling their videos. So.
Okay. Well, now we don't enable here, guys, because that's like, if you rescue and enable, you can really make a person very, very regressed and entitled. So
I tell the students this is the only time we enable them. One time is when I put them on the screen. That's it.
All right, Aaron, you're up, man.
Hello, Aaron from Santa Maria, California. Are you hearing me?
Hear you great.
Great. Okay, I had a question about the character structure of integration and how it relates with like neural integration in brain science. Does that have anything to do with the connection between the right brain and the left brain in actual, like the character structure correlating with the actual brain and neural integration?
We have not yet found, everybody's looking for this one. We have not yet found where attachment is. Is it in the front or the back? Where is separation differentiation? Is it over here? I think they'll, well, you know what? I don't think they'll find it. And this is my own bias. But the more we're studying the brain, it's almost like everything's everywhere. Like God made the dendrites, and he made the neural passageways and all that sort of thing to kind of do it all, and some do more than others. but I got a feeling they're all going to be in all the nerves. So nothing yet that we found out, but hey, man, I'll let you know. I try to keep up with that stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Aaron. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Cindy. Hi.
Hi, it's me again.
With another phenomenal question that's going to challenge us and change everybody's lives.
Well, let's hope so. Okay, I am in Missouri, outside Kansas City.
Oh, by the
And
way, you said you were in Concordia?
my question, Concordia, Missouri.
Is there a Concordia University there?
Uh-huh.
There is?
No, it's a small town.
Okay.
It's a little tiny farming community.
Okay.
So, I work with missionaries. I actually do member care for missionaries. So that's why I am working on the executive coaching. I believe I'm going to do the master's. That's my plan. And so I have a missionary that actually needs counseling and is willing to do that. But at the same time, I would really like to kind of coach him as well. And I'm wondering what you think of that, because I know that, it's like coaching is at a certain level and he definitely has things that he needs to go work with on counseling. And I'm just wondering, where do you see that? Is that's a little bit too much? He just needs to have somebody focusing with a counselor, or can I work with him on something more surface level, but working on the character structure type thing?
One thing y'all have probably heard me do a lot, which I hope you do, because I want to beat this drum a lot, is to start off with blue sky with any kind of question like this. Blue sky, because I just love the ideal, and it's important to start there. Cindy, the blue sky is everybody needs a good shrink to get their heads unscrewed, and everybody needs a good coach, because they're working on different things. The clinical world and where I was trained, you're going from broken to restored. There's a depression, there's a broken heart, there's somebody who has no boundaries, there's somebody who has an eating disorder, there's somebody who has bad relationships, and you're trying to fix that. The coach is kind of going from good to great and optimized. And coaching is all about optimization, how to fulfill your potential that God gave, and all the cylinders you get given. So it's a different dynamic. And I think that, let me give you two things to think about. Because the answer is fundamentally yes, but this is a kind of a grid for you to work with. One are his emotional, psychological, behavioral issues so severe that you can't concentrate on that? I've had some people that had to be hospitalized, and you can't work on your coaching when you're hospitalized or when you're, barely functioning. You got to get healthy. But if they're, walking and talking, ambulatory, able to have relationships and work and all that, absolutely. The second question is, if you're going to work on what I want you to work on, and Scott wants you to work on, which is the 4 character structures, attachment, is this a differentiation problem? Is that why he's scared? Is that why he's afraid? Or is it because of integration problem, because the judge is beating him up? Or is it an adulthood problem because he feels like a little boy? And we're training you in that. If you're doing that work, which I think is the great coaching holistic work, just make sure that it corresponds with the counseling he's getting. I think it's a great idea to call the counselor, and some counselors will say, I do allow a friend or coach to talk to me about how to treat my patient. Some will say, I don't want to do it in this private, which you have to respect either way. But if they say, sure, I'll be glad to talk to you for 30 minutes about Sam who's seeing me, and Sam's got to get permission too. Then you say, look, I understand you're a depth psychologist, and I was trained in a depth program of coaching. I'm not a clinician, but I'd like to support what you do because I also believe in character issues, and I read, this strange person named Townsend's books. And so tell me how I can be a help and an adjunct. And it is wonderful. It accelerates everything you're doing. So it's a yes, 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 as long as the therapist gets it, as long as it's not too fragile.
So yes, only if the counselor says, yes, I'll work with you?
You know what? I would do it anyway. It's better if the counselor works with you, because then you go, oh, you found that there's an attachment issue there. Okay, I can talk to them about it. But if the therapist says I don't have those kind of conversations, I can't imagine a therapist saying, no, don't talk about attachment to your friend. That person ought to not work. But you just become a good friend who's a coach who's helping the person with the stuff that's not the deeper broken stuff, but you're still helping him to be vulnerable and relate at the levels that you can and reach out and be honest and how to say no and not don't worry about the world falling apart and how to be it's okay to have failure and it's okay to have be mistreated and be hurt and it's okay to deal with loss and how to feel like a grown-up and you're accelerating their process. So it's yes, 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 except for if they're really severely disabled because of the the severity of their condition.
Okay, great. Well, thanks. And just to let you know, just a little bit that I talked with him through something today, and he was somebody who was really at a point where I said, you need to get to a counselor. But I really, just by attuning with him and by acknowledging that I go through some of the same things he's going through, and I said, I want to encourage you to make that appointment, and I'm going to check with you on Friday. And I said, how do you feel? And he says, I feel overwhelmed. And I said, okay. I saw him within an hour or two because we're at a conference together. And I said, hey, how'd you feel about today? He said, it was good. It was hard. And he said, I've got an appointment Monday morning. And I'm like, you made it already? Because he was but I think it was just that he heard like somebody was attuning with him. And so that was kind of cool. So.
Cindy, you are using the unique skill that we teach in a way that is transformational and phenomenal, and congratulations. Keep it up.
Thanks.
Thanks
for your input.
All of us in OL and executive coaching, we're all trained to ask questions and give advice, and we got to have questions, got to have advice. But just shut the heck up every now and then, folks, and do what Cindy said and attune, and all of a sudden, so many things will work out. Way to go.
Thanks.
So that was, okay. Scott, hey, man.
Good to be back. I haven't checked it out yet, but I know you have Townsend now. And one question is, how can we use that in our coaching practice the best way, especially in group coaching? And kind of related to that, I'll be graduating soon, and as a graduate, will I have access to that, or how do we sign up for that program?
Scott, do you remember the financial arrangement? To the world is $10 a month, and I'm always putting more videos on there. We're getting a very large library. Scott, I worked it out with Scott, and he's the guru there.
Okay.
Was it like for a while, or do you remember what it was, Scott?
I don't know, and that's a good question that I can follow up with Patrick. I know we set something up, but
we tried to give you a screaming deal. I don't know how long it's a screaming deal, but anyway, it's to the world it's $10 a month, and I think it was something better for y'all. But in terms of and if Scott, if you would follow up with Scott Macon, who will follow up with Patrick Sells, who runs TLG. Very, very helpful in working with clients because we have them categorized, Scott. If you go to, have you seen them yet?
I have seen some of it. I know there's videos and there's assessments, there's forms.
Yeah. And
I'm looking for just quality materials like that to use.
Yeah. And so same paradigm. I mean, Scott Macon and my whole thing is you got to have a consistent paradigm. Although we don't want to teach you a patchwork quilt with a bunch of ideas that don't go together. It's systematic. And so there's the marriage one, the leadership one, the emotional issues one, alcohol one, spiritual growth one, parenting, and I'm just populating them with little 5-minute videos about the key things and the takeaway. So they become the concept where a person goes, oh, I can see what he's saying. There's 3 points I didn't think of. And then here's your takeaway. Try this. And then you, Scott Edgar, you say, do those homework assignments that John meant about writing down this and having this conversation, will that fit with you? And they go, yeah, or I want to modify it. And so there's a built-in thing to it. We're finding lots and lots of good things from it.
So are they 5-minute clips, or there's some longer didactics, or?
No, we went with the shorter stuff.
Mhm.
We'll be putting series together, but what we found out in our marketing is that people like short. People like, I'm busy. Give me something I can get to. Don't give me a 45-minute talk. And so we might do it later, but people love a lot of short things on topic. And
Excellent.
also now corporations are getting and saying, okay, this will be part of our HR department. We got 3,000 employees, and part of their wellness is to give them a cheap subscription to the Townsend Now library. So that's a way for them to get on there and find out about health and wellness and relationships and that sort of thing. It's adding to the health through the HR department. So lots and lots of uses.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Mhm.
But just go to Walmart and tell them to get the whole thing for their employees, Scott. You know,
I could do that for a finder's fee.
we got to talk.
Okay, take care.
You and me and Sam, we got to talk, Scott.
Yep.
Who's that? Marianne. Hi, Marianne.
Hi. Hi. I'm up here in Redding, California, and I'm a recent graduate of the Organizational Leadership Master's Program. I love getting to say that.
I remember you at the
anyway,
Center at
I
UCI and graduation. Congratulations.
Thank you. It was a great experience. My question is, so I've been using my degree while we was going through the program to start a nonprofit with my husband, and we were actually just both listening to the execution part earlier, and he started laughing and about when you were talking about how one person's more of a vision and the other person's more of an execution, and so he would be more the visionary. In fact, the nonprofit is centered around more of his idea, and so I'm more the execution type of person. And I just
can't figure out how God
it's kind of become apparent that it's interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess I'm looking to put a framework around it for myself, so that I don't get sucked into the oh, this is another great idea. The vision that is great, but yeah, just I guess I don't know. I was just asking you to comment on maybe trying to put a framework around that execution part for myself, so that I don't go crazy, and also so I don't feel like I have to take on the responsibility of pushing that all together by myself.
Okay. Just a couple of tech things. You've got about a 4-second delay. I don't know why. Just let's be aware of that.
Oh.
And maybe you can shut down a lot of programs. Shut down Word, shut down Excel, shut down the other 33 windows that we keep open, and increase your bandwidth, because I heard like 70% of what you said. And secondly, you're freezing up. You froze up about 5 or 6 times, and I kind of missed keywords. So I'm going to tell you what I think you said, just so that you can go, yeah, you got it. You're more on the execution follow-through side, and husband is on the visionary side, and you want a framework to be able to operate on this with. Do I understand that? Okay. Let me ask you a diagnostic question. What is it about the framework I gave at the didactic that doesn't answer that for you? So I'll know how to help. I just want to know why. What else do you need besides that? Because that's a framework.
Yeah, right. I think it comes into play when I try to nail down like the funnel and the mission vision stuff, and we work on that, but then there's not the vision, you know, he kind of stays more in the vision and isn't wanting to stick, you know, or, you know, he's not as, he's interested in it, but he, I think I feel alone in all the execution stuff. I think I feel alone in that. I think he, you know, he has more the relational part of dealing with all of the people, and so I think I feel alone in the execution. I want to be a part of the team. I want to be a part of the more the vision and the relational part. And I've kind of even thought maybe I should kind of even step back some and maybe get another person in because to protect our dynamic too.
Marianne,
So,
I'm
yeah.
I'm really kind of moved by your vulnerability right there. And my question to you is, how vulnerable have you been with your husband about what you just said, about how alone you feel doing all the slog work while he has the fun relational stuff? How vulnerable have you been with him about how alone you feel?
I feel like I have. I feel like I have, and he's. I think he's heard me, and I think I'm just trying to put a framework up for my own boundaries going forward. So, yeah, I think he's heard me. We've kind of got everything in place. We had our launch party, and we've kind of haven't moved. I think we're trying to sort this out, so we move forward in a healthy way.
Well, when you say we're on the same page, so that he's heard me, so if your husband was on here on this video screen with all these nice people, and I said, "Hey Sam, do you agree with Marianne that you need to be helping her more with execution?" Would he go, "Oh, I understand her. I really hear her. I disagree with her, but I hear her." Or would he go, "No, she's right. I need to be doing that more"? What answer would he give us?
I think he would agree. I think he would agree. I think he would agree. It's really hard for him to follow through, I guess, and it's hard for me to have a good boundary with it.
Meaning?
With my needs. Well, I'm still learning about all this organizational stuff too, and I'm still kind of
really
learning about all of this. You know, it's a brand new organization and stuff. So I think
I'm going to have to finish the answer because your signal is, but I really want to help here.
I'll just type it.
In these kind of situations where he says, "Yeah, I don't do it, and I should," and he fails in it, either I don't think it's because he's a bad guy. He's either doesn't do it because he's scared or it's not of value to him. You have to take the lead and say, "Okay, I'm the senior follow through, but I need the junior follow through. Now you're the senior person vision, I'm the junior person vision, but we're not equal in the follow through. I do it more, I value it more, I'm better at it. You sort of suck at it, but you love me and you believe it's going to help. But you're the junior. But I'm going to give you some directives in that for making a report here and getting this on time here and putting these numbers here, and I want to give you timelines. And I desperately need you to be accountable to those timelines. Give them some reasonable timelines and roles and responsibilities. That is your best shot where he's not having to do it all because he's overwhelmed and not good anyway, but you give him these bites of stuff that's going to take a bunch of it off your plate. And you sound like a guy that cares, but he needs more structure and he needs more direction from you without you crossing boundaries and being overwhelmed yourself. Hey, Marianne, thank you for the question. All righty, Keith. Can you hear me, Keith? Hello, Keith? K-E-S?
So how you doing, man? Case from Detroit. How are you?
Good. Oh, do we have a delay also?
Case, yep. Can you hear me okay? I can kind of see you guys are choppy. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think you might have a connection problem. Have you closed down all your other
All right,
non-essential?
I'm going to jump off because it's super choppy. So we'll try it again some other time.
Okay. All right, man. Guys, what we're learning about this is that this is
Everything's closed on my end, but it could be my internet. So I'm going to jump off just so we can save everybody some peace of mind.
I can hear you great now. Do you want to just do it on audio then? No, he's gone. Oh, he's gone. Okay. Yeah, turn off everything, guys. Everything but this. This is a million bandwidth, and we got to do this, and we'll have great pictures and great stuff. We won't have delays, but you got to turn Word off and turn off that Fortnite app that you shouldn't be using anyway, and all that other stuff. So, all right, Britta. Hi.
Hi. Hello again. So Britta from Laguna Niguel. I had a question about when to start working on culture. There's some fun things with 5 dysfunctions of a team and maintaining the relationship in a conflict that I want to jump in and do at work. I've read some things recently and have had some people tell me that, first of all, you need necessity and you need people to start changing on their own before teaching about culture. So I'm a little confused and wanted to get some feedback on that.
Necessity. What does those words mean?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
Did they say you need a necessity?
Yes. Okay, so the way I've read it and the way the person described it to me was there's a reason in the work environment that people would change. Maybe they're bringing on new clients or have a big project or something like that.
Yeah, I disagree with all that.
Good. Tell me more. Please.
Oh, you're learning. Tell me more. I understand the thinking, like people will be more motivated. So, like, the dog's sitting on the porch and he's sitting on a tack, and he's moaning, but he's not going to get off the tack until he's good and ready. So people get more motivated with pain. They do, but there are 2 reasons people change. When we find out from the Bible and we find out from Neuro, they change because they're in pain, and that sucks. But they also change because of desire. If you're dating, you want to ask somebody out. You don't ask somebody out because you're lonely, have no life, and you're an idiot. You want to ask somebody out because they're cool and you're cool and you got chemistry. So desire is just as important. So that's why I always disagree with it. Don't throw the. They think culture is a waste of time until people are in pain and all that. No, people are culture. It's like saying, well, don't have a friend until you're depressed. You need friends. You need love and support and people. And that's what culture is about. How can we love our organization? How can we make it better? Well, we got to be a better team. We got to be vulnerable. We got to look at what's important to us. How do we collaborate? How do we solve problems? So forget all that and just say, we're going to teach it next time, because there's this model we're using, and people will go, oh my gosh, it was already good. It's amazing. And Britta's, she's just like she's like a genius because she got us so connected with each other, and performance goes up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
Take care. All right. Hey, Kelly.
Hi, this is Kelly Woodman, and I'm in Denver, Colorado. And so my question is, in the interest of self-care, what would you say or suggest is a good rhythm for vacation and taking time off? So that's kind of part 1. Part B would be, how would you encourage that of those you lead?
Well, I think you should work 5 days a week and not 6. And I don't always do that, so I'm confessing my failings and vulnerabilities to you right now, Kelly, and to our class. But
okay,
I
receive it.
And I do it. I do it as much as I can. I also believe that you shouldn't take work home. And you have to sometimes, but if you read the New Boundaries book that Henry Cloud and I wrote, that's that whole chapter on the digital age. Everybody has got access to everything about you in multiple modalities 24/7. And so you got to have ground rules of life, like, once I get home, unless there's some screaming deal, I'm with friends and family and doing things I like and having fun. So I believe in working 8-ish, maybe 10 hours a day, 5 days a week, and with some exceptions. Now, that's the time off. Then I believe that I think a good cadence for it is 4 weeks a year. If you can do it, if you can do it financially and all that, because it's a seasonal thing, and it's nice to have one vacation per season. And God gives us seasons that are different. They're different in nature. Some are more, about building. Some are more about chilling. But I have found that to be very helpful, and take more if you can. But I do believe 4 is a good minimum. And I like the concept of small 2 or 3 day time off when you have the time to. So, and how do you tell your people that? You just spit out what I just said.
Okay.
I mean, your lower level people, unskilled, it goes from unskilled labor to skilled labor to, their supervisors, then to middle management, lower middle management, upper middle management, and executive suite and all that. I mean, obviously, some people just can't afford to for financial reasons or whatever, so you can't make them feel bad because they don't have the time. But as much as you can, go for that. It's just a good blue sky to live with. And I mean, I can tell you how I feel about it. Is when Barbie and I finish a vacation and I get ready to go back to work, we sit down and talk, and I go, I can't wait till the next vacation. Here's what I want to do there. So I'm like a food addict. The food addict finishes dessert and you wonder what time is breakfast. Well, I finish a vacation, I go, I can't wait till the next one, because it gives you hope and energy and all that good stuff. So
Yeah.
I believe in the Sabbath, I believe in rest, and I believe God tells us to do it.
Super helpful. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Okay, I have Case's question for you.
Okay, ma'am.
He's excited about the new diagnostic tool. What are your thoughts about the Enneagram as a personality diagnostic tool in a secular professional setting? And do you have a number if you took it?
Yeah, I mean, I study all those things because they're important. I like the Enneagram. The controversy over the Enneagram is, of course, that it's purported to have its roots in Sufi mysticism. And, when you read about it, there's 2 sides to it. I don't want to get into that, but that is controversial. I have seen that it's pretty accurate when it describes people. So I think it's helpful. I mean, the church is really excited about it. Everybody in the world is doing Enneagrams. And I think it would be helpful because it helps people to know, like, what their style is. Are you an investigator, or are you a problem solver, or whatever? And they understand how they work. So I think it's helpful in the workplace. In terms of a personality, yeah. Now, the Enneagram is not really meant to talk about, it's more about the DNA of who you are, and it's less about the growth area. Like, when I wrote the T-Prat, I was trying to talk about you're a 2 here and you want to be a 4 here. So mine's more about I got a goal to be here. It's not clarifying where you are and where you'll always be. Myers-Briggs, Enneagram, they do have some growth things in there. It is sort of like this is your DNA and how do you adapt to it. And I like that. It can help, but I want mine to be more about how can I change. Because there are some things that are built into us. An introvert will hardly ever be an extrovert. And a high-energy person will probably never be a low-energy person. And a thinking person will probably never be a fundamentally feeling person. I think those are kind of the big 3 dimensions. Energy up and down, feeling, thinking, and then what do I say? Energy, feeling, thinking. Oh, an introvert, extrovert. They're kind of built in. And what's really, you got to know that. But here's my whole point, Case. So many things that you can grow and change in that have to do with character. Character does change. Personality, there's kind of these traits. But never think, well, I'm unbonded, and so I'll always be a 2 and stuck in relationships, and I really can't, I'll be a hermit. No, God didn't make it that way. Boundaries. You want to be able to be, loving, but also say no, and sometimes you got to say hell no, and sometimes you got to confront, and Proverbs 4:23, you got to be able to, guard your heart. You can grow in those things. That's why Scott and I are just so committed to teaching you guys how to help people grow in those areas, because it's not a matter of just holding on to your DNA. The DNA you got to understand, but character can change and must change. And I don't know the second question. What was the second question, Scott?
If you've taken it, what number are you?
Oh, taken it a couple times recently. I was a 2 and now I'm a 5. So I think it means that I have no personality.
Well, if you average them together, I think you'll be okay. Do you
3.5.
Do you remember the titles or the?
5 was investigator something, or the quiet, curious person, and 2 was the helper, I think.
Okay. So
I hope that helps, Case.
Yeah. So
okay,
my
Chris.
number was. Never mind.
I'm sorry, Scott.
So my number
tell us about.
Was 8, which is
Meaning?
you love this, active controller. I need to have some degree of control of things and connected, and so
The last 5 years of my life just made sense.
That's what I figured. You're gonna have a field day with that. Okay, Chris, go ahead.
Can
buddy.
we change it to Can we change yours to a repentant controller?
I'm trying to, but it's hard, John. It really is.
Change is hard. Hey, Chris has been patient. Chris, we're out of the blabber. Hey, man.
Hey, Chris McFarland, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Yesterday, excuse me, I submitted a new job description that I wrote up unsolicited to our president and our visionary founder. And so the three of us make up our executive team. The reason I did it was actually to incorporate both my my EVP role in director of our ministry work and events, but then also to try and really take responsibility for the culture around where I am. And it was, it was not received in the context necessarily of maybe what I presented, and then I would say also along the lines of not necessarily saying that, well, that's something that they would want in my role. So I can kind of get on board and understand some of those things. But the aspect I'm thinking about it is, if nobody's taking responsibility for it, it's not happening. And there are some dysfunctions in our team that we can continue to grow in. So my question, I guess, is really around what would be a suggested next step to continue to press into that. I have authority to train and to engage the culture and shift it, but I also directly asked for the responsibility. They're not really up for that. I would do it collaboratively, but I'm kind of determining like what next steps I should take, because I do want to see things continue to grow, pour into people across the organization. And so that's where I'm at.
You sound a bit disappointed, Chris.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I have a desire to do it. Nobody else is stepping up to take responsibility. I'm passionate about it. And so I think I'm actually even really just in general, I struggle with that, because there's even just a sense of like getting pigeonholed into you direct the events, but you oversee all of our ministry. That's good. So I mean, I control a major portion of the ministry. I think there is a sense, so it's like, yeah, but I want to see all of it improve. It's just, this isn't about my area just alone. It's about what I would really kind of, I want to share. I want to bring what I'm learning here to that. And so then I am also having a struggle as to, okay, do I keep pressing into that, or am I just going to be slotted in here, and do I need to shift just in general?
All right. Number one is, what's the why? Why did they say no? What reasons did they give you that it wasn't good in their eyes for you to take that role?
They said that it would be too much on my plate. They said, secondly, that usually that's an HR position of sorts, which we've got an HR person, but nobody that controls culture in the way that they would bring in training on trust, vulnerability, these types of things, emotional intelligence. Those were the primary 2 points that they made. And after that, it was just more discussion around those in a deeper
Do
way.
you do they value what you're doing more? I mean, did they state that they want that it's more important for their view of what you do for the company to be what you're doing with the events than to be in culture? Or they're saying this is bringing more value to us in this role than you would be in the other?
Not as clearly or directly as that, but yeah, to that point, they did definitely outline the fact that that's really the main need, and to suck energy from that would be a bad thing potentially. I think I can do both, but
Historically, it's a difficult thing, Chris, because culture is so complex and it engages us. I mean, people can do half and one and half the other, but you've got like you're doing events. They're complicated, there's a million moving parts and lots of tension and last minute things and all this, and then you got culture over here. It's a rare person that can do a great job of both. So in a way, I kind of on their side there. I get that. My other thought is, if is it your vision to have somebody getting culture healthy in the company, if not you, or is your vision it's really got to be you? Because there are two ways of looking at that.
yeah, I've tried to analyze my own heart and mind in it. I think that part of it really wants it to be me. Part of it's because of this program, and I want to do that. And so I think that I really do want to be that person. I could be okay if somebody else was doing it, and then I would just get to take part in it. I would actually probably be acceptable in that type of environment. And my question, even when we were discussing it, was who's going to take that on? We're not, as a nonprofit right now, going to hire that position for the next year or 2 years. So if somebody doesn't say I'm responsible, how do we even adjust it now? And for that, there isn't an answer apart from just, well, we'll try and give it some attention. And
And
we
so
agree
they
that
don't have the resources or money or people in HR to have somebody do it as a part of their job?
we don't, no, not at this time. It doesn't mean we can't add it, but we're adding other positions, and so it hasn't been made a priority.
How many employees does the organization have?
39.
Okay, small organization. And a company with 39 people will hardly any have a full-time chief culture officer. It's something that someone in HR would do, among other things they do. Are they willing to have a conversation? If you can sort of be okay with that you're not doing it, but you have the vision for the company doing it, could you have conversations within HR and with their, with the boss's team's blessing and say, do we have any bandwidth for somebody that can work on culture 10 hours a week, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I think that would very much be something they'd be open to, entertained, and I could even definitely do almost immediately, have the conversation anyway.
The size of your organization, I would do that, Chris, and I would also do this, is to say, can I be some kind of an adjunct to support that person? I love it. It's my hobby. I'm going to be, I'm your huckleberry with the other stuff because I know that's what you value now. But a lot of times you find that when that 10-hour week person is doing it, and you're doing a great job in events, but you're helping them, supporting them, giving them information, they start to notice the cultural changes. And they start to go, this stuff is really working, and people are connected, and the performance is better, and there's a much more likelihood of a sea change of you spending more time there. So start at this level first.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
All right, man. Scott, how are we doing? We got time?
Well, I have Michael Wilson can't get on, but I have his question. And so here's his question. How does personality interact with character structure development?
Kind of irrelevant. The way God made us, there's these 4 things. Relate like he does, and that's bonding. Own your choices and make choices to be courageous, that's boundaries. Integration, deal with failure, loss, and mistreatment, and that's taking the negative and metabolizing it. And adulthood is feeling like an adult, knowing what your mission and strengths are. God would never set up somebody's personality, which we talked about earlier, as their DNA, and say, well, you have a really limited personality in these areas, so you're not going to ever be able to have relationships because you tend to be an introvert. An introvert could score a 9 on the T-Prat because an introvert is not a pathology. It's just kind of like they're quieter, but they love people. Maybe they're not vulnerable to everybody in the world, but they're vulnerable to the right people. They could score very high on the T-Prat. A high energy person, a low energy person would not score low on the boundaries differentiation part because just because they're not running around confronting things and fighting the dragons, they're doing it internally and softly. So it's apples and oranges. God gave us a personality, and we just adapt to that, and we get those 4 needs met, so we grow up in our real structure.
Okay. I have one more question.
Most of the time, you don't have questions. You just tell me to do stuff.
Well, I'm trying to grow and heal. So
yeah, active controllers are really growing, healing people. That's great.
See, I knew I should never have told you that. I knew you were gonna beat me up bad. Hey, okay, of all those, every one of those 9 have nice titles, except for mine. Active controller. That's like negative. Everything else is, peacemaker, and things like that. So, anyways, here's the question. How can a person strong in a character structure better temper his or her responses or mismatching experience suggestions for someone with weaknesses in the same character structure other than just attuning? Well, let's end on that question. I'll say it again. How can a person strong?
Maybe I can read it. It's complicated.
It's typed in here.
Oh, I got it typed in, Scott. Don't worry about it. It's got some parts to it. How can a person strong? Okay, better tempered responses for someone with weakness in that area. So somebody's really strong in attachment. How can I temper my responses to somebody that's not strong in attachment? Yeah. You ask them how you're coming across to them. Do I come across, since I'm really vulnerable, do I come across like a little overwhelming to you because you want to talk about baseball and, grabbing a beer sometime and being more casual? Just say, how is it with you? And they'll go, yeah, you really just kind of throw the vulnerability thing at me. Or, I'm really good with boundaries and I'm very clear, and that's somebody that'll come across as rigid, and do I come across as my no is more important than yes? And they'll say, yeah, I kind of don't want to be around you sometimes because all you do is no and confront. Okay, sorry about that. I'll bring more grace to conversation. Just ask people. I found it so helpful. Now that I'm writing the focus book on the fuel, is that when you're around good people, they're just sort of your norm. Like we talked about with Mark Household on healthy norming of the culture. You just kind of say on a regular basis, how am I coming across? And they'll go, really, really, it's cool being with you. I'm growing and I'm encouraging you, telling me the truth. They'll go, it's just kind of hard sometimes. So you temper by being humble and asking for reality checks.
Good.
How are you not doing,
helpful.
Scott? How are we doing it? Are you and I? Am I?
Well, you want to do this in front? You want to do this in front of everyone? I mean, really? No.
So
you and I do that. You and I do that a lot.
We actually, guys, Scott and I do it all the time. We do a good due diligence, and then I go home. I cry a lot when I go home.
Hey,
Barbie just put me back together.
I am. They need to know how warm I am.
You are warm.
Warm and loving. So, hey, that was our last question for tonight. So it gives us enough time for you to take a look at the questions for the book winner.
Cool. And has everybody already got their plane tickets for the kickoff? You have
I think they crashed kayak.com is what I saw. So we want you out there, or we'll start singing "You'll Be Back" from Hamilton. So
You'll be back.
or I'll kill
So
your
funny.
friends and family. It's the best line. So I actually just ordered a Hamilton shirt that has the king on it. So I'm gonna wear it at kickoff.
Kickoff, Scott.
Thank you. I'm multitasking. John O'Neill wants me to ask this. We still have about 4 weeks before kickoff. If you have any friends or family you want to get in to the Institute, email me. I'd love to talk to them. And you guys are our best ambassadors. So it's really fun. The way that you connect, we get a lot of referrals that way. So
Thank you, John O'Neill. It's really true. When people say, yeah, it's a good program, it's moderately priced, and I learned some skills, it's like Shakespeare said, you're damned with faint praise. You know, you can damn something with faint praise. Like, how's that restaurant? It's okay. Well, you'll never go to that restaurant. When people go, well, yeah, just like this online program, I've learned so much stuff, and I stay emotionally connected to people and supportive, and I learn stuff that personally helps me and professionally helps me. It's like nothing I've ever seen now. So that's when the kind of over-the-top setting your head on fire, which comes from nothing else but great content and great relational experiences. Yeah, we love when you guys do that. Thank you for doing it. Do it more. That's where people are coming from, and they're coming.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, some great questions. Some great questions here. Oh, these were good.
Yes, they are.
Well, you always told me this was the brightest bunch you'd ever seen, Scott, so it's kind of...
Scott's talking. I don't know.
Are you talking, Scott? No, I can't hear you.
Mike's on.
I think it should be Cindy about coaching and counseling and how they work together. I thought that was an excellent question. And Cindy, what's your last name? Scott, what's Cindy's last name? What is it?
Rodewald.
R what?
R-O-D-E-W-A-L-D.
R?
O-D-E.
R-O-D-E.
W-A-L-D.
I just thought it helped everybody. It was practical, and it helped us to think about character structure in a way that you can do a lot of good coaching and a lot of good help with therapy, and the two go together, and God grows people up in an organization. So way to go, Cindy. Just go to Amazon, get a book that I wrote. I'm sorry you can't get a book that James Patterson wrote because I didn't write it, and I won't sign that. But I did a bunch, so love to have you just then tell Scott, and he'll let us know Or I'll sign it to you and say something nice to you, and thank you very much. It was a very good question. So, team, pray for the kickoff. That a lot of people want to have lives transformed, and remember how you felt, and it's just a really good thing. It's one of Scott and my favorite parts of the year. Thanks for being here tonight.
Everybody quiet down now and get some sleep.
Night, everybody.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Ben.
Good night, everyone. Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Good night, children.
Good night, Daddy. Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Kim Bob.
Okay. Say good night.
Good night, everybody. Here they come. Look at these life-changing faces of great people doing the work of the ministry in business and in families and in churches and all this.
We lost.